Be me, Ethan, 29 years old, work as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping firm in Chicago, make decent money, about 80,000 a year, drive a 3-year-old Toyota Camry, rent a one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood that costs way too much for the square footage, live a life that looks perfectly fine on paper, wake up at 6 in the morning every day. Shower, shave, put on the same variation of button-down shirt and slacks. Commute 45 minutes through gray slush and bumper-to-bumper traffic. Sit in a cubicle under fluorescent lights that hum with a low-frequency buzz that drills into my skull. Spend 8 hours staring at spreadsheets and tracking containers moving across the ocean. Come home to an empty apartment that smells like stale air and cleaning supplies. Heat up a frozen meal or order takeout that is too greasy. Swipe on dating apps for an hour until my thumb cramps. See the same profiles over and over again. Women listing requirements that I meet statistically but somehow fail to satisfy in reality. Height requirements, income requirements, political alignment requirements. Bio descriptions that read like a list of demands for a hostage negotiation. If you cannot handle me at my worst, you do not deserve me at my best. Swipe left if you hold a fish in your pictures. Entertain me. Feel a heavy, dull weight in my chest that I have learned to ignore. It is the weight of being invisible. Decide to go on a date with a match named Vanessa. Vanessa is 27, works in marketing, and has photos of herself in Paris and Chelum. We match on a Tuesday and she agrees to meet on a Friday. I pick a nice Italian place, not too expensive, but white tablecloths and candle lighting. Arrive 10 minutes early to secure a good table. Check my watch, check my phone. She arrives 15 minutes late. No apology. She sits down and immediately places her phone face up on the table. She looks great, better than her photos, with sharp makeup and a professional blazer. Sorry, traffic was a nightmare, she says without looking at me, checking a notification. It is okay, I just got here myself, I lie. The waiter comes over and she orders a bottle of wine without asking what I like. The conversation starts. It feels less like a date and more like a job interview. So, what are your 5-year goals? She asks between sips of Pinot Noir. I am looking to move into a senior management role, maybe buy a house in the suburbs, I say. She wrinkles her nose slightly. Suburbs? I cannot imagine leaving the city loop. Everything is happening here. I nod and take a sip of water. What about you? I ask. I am focusing on building my personal brand, she says. She talks for 20 minutes about her Instagram following and her side hustle selling digital courses. She never asks me a second question about myself. Whenever I try to interject with a joke or a story, she glances at her phone. The bill comes, it is $140. She looks at the check, then looks at me, then looks out the window. I put my card down because that is what I was raised to do. Thanks, she says flatly. We walk outside into the cold Chicago wind. So, I say, trying to salvage the night, would you like to grab a drink somewhere quieter? She checks her watch. I actually have an early morning yoga class, but text me. She hops into an Uber that she had already called while we were walking to the door. I stand on the sidewalk watching the taillights fade into the traffic. I know I will never hear from her again. I know that if I text her, it will remain on read for 3 days before a generic rejection. Go home. Sit on the edge of my bed, stare at the wall. I am tired of the game. I am tired of trying to prove my worth to people who see me as a utility or an accessory. I remember a conversation with my friend Mark. Mark is divorced, 35 and bitter. Ethan, the game is rigged, Mark had said over beers last week. You are playing by rules that haven't existed for 20 years. I thought Mark was just being cynical. But tonight, in the silence of my overpriced apartment, I feel it. I open my laptop. Usually I would watch Netflix or play a video game. Tonight, I type digital nomad visas into the search bar. I fall down a rabbit hole. YouTube videos of guys living in Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, Colombia. Some of them are obnoxious, talking about conquest and cheap living. I ignore those guys. I find a video of a guy named Thomas. Thomas is a software engineer living in Da Nang, Vietnam. He is sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean. He looks calm. He talks about the cost of living, sure, but he talks more about the peace. It is not about running away, Thomas says to the camera. It is about going where you are treated like a human being. I look at my bank account. I have savings. I look at my job contract. We have been fully remote since the pandemic, but they prefer us to be in the city. I draft an email to my boss requesting approval for indefinite remote work due to family reasons. It is a lie, but my soul feels like it is dying, so maybe it is a family emergency of one. I hit send before I can panic. I spend the weekend selling my furniture on Facebook Marketplace. My boss approves the request on Monday, provided I work Chicago hours. I book a one-way ticket to Da Nang, Vietnam. My mother cries when I tell her. "Why are you going so far away?" she asks. "I need a change, Mom," I say. "I just need to see something different." I do not tell her about Vanessa or the loneliness. I pack 2 suitcases. I sell the Camry. I stand in the terminal at O'Hare International Airport. I feel terrified. I feel like I am making a huge mistake, but then I look at the faces of the people rushing around me. Everyone looks stressed, angry, and tired. I board the plane. 24 hours of travel later, I step out of the airport in Da Nang. The heat hits me first. It is a thick, humid wall of warmth that smells like tropical flowers and exhaust fumes. It is 11 at night. I get a taxi to the apartment I rented online. The driver is an older man with a wide smile. He speaks no English but nods enthusiastically when I show him the address. He helps me with my bags, refusing to let me lift the heavy one. I try to tip him extra and he waves it away, shaking his head. I force it into his hand and he bows slightly, looking genuinely grateful. My apartment is on the 10th floor of a building near the beach. It is modern, clean, and costs $400 a month. I collapse onto the bed and sleep for 14 hours, wake up the next afternoon. I walk out onto the balcony. The view is incredible. The ocean stretches out to the horizon, blue and shimmering. The city is alive with scooters buzzing like a swarm of mechanical bees. I go downstairs to find food. I find a small plastic table on the sidewalk where a lady is selling soup. I point to the pot. She smiles and ladles out a bowl of pho. It is the best thing I have ever tasted. Rich broth, fresh herbs, tender beef. It costs $2. I sit there, sweating in the humidity, watching the world go by. Nobody looks at me with disdain. Nobody is judging my outfit. I am just a guy eating soup. The first month is hard. The time difference is brutal. I work from 8 at night until 4 in the morning to match Chicago time. I sleep during the day. I feel isolated. I wonder if I made a mistake. I see other Western men, the passport bros I read about. Some of them are loud and drunk in the bars at night. They treat the local women like commodities. I feel a spike of shame being associated with them. I decide I do not want to be that guy. I join a coworking space to get out of the apartment. I start learning the language on an app. Simply saying hello and thank you in Vietnamese changes how people treat me. Their faces light up. They appreciate the effort. One Tuesday afternoon, I am at a coffee shop near the Dragon Bridge. I am struggling with a spreadsheet and my Wi-Fi cuts out. I sigh loudly and run my hand through my hair. "The Wi-Fi here is reset every 2 hours, a voice says. I look up. Sitting at the next table is a woman. She is petite with long black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She is wearing a white t-shirt and jeans. No heavy makeup, just clear skin and bright, intelligent eyes. "Oh," I say, "thank you, I was about to panic." She smiles. It is not a guarded smile. It is not a networking smile. It is just a smile. "I am Lynn," she says. "I am Ethan," I reply. "You are working late for American time," she observes. "Yeah, logistics never sleeps," I joke. She closes her book. "I am studying English translation," she says. "Do you mind if I practice with you?" In Chicago, my alarm bells would ring. I would think she wants money or a free drink or she is selling something. Here her body language is open and relaxed. Sure, I say. Please, we talk for 2 hours. We talk about the city, the food, the weather. She asks me about my family. She asks what I miss about America. She listens to my answers. She does not check her phone once, not once. When I ask about her, she speaks with pride about her parents. She tells me she lives with them to help take care of her grandmother. In the US, living with your parents at 25 is seen as a failure. Here she describes it as a duty and a joy. It must be lonely being here alone, she says eventually. Sometimes, I admit, but it is peaceful. Peace is expensive, she says wisely. Hard to find. We exchange numbers. I walk home feeling light. I do not analyze the interaction. I do not wonder what is her angle. I just feel heard. We meet again 3 days later. She offers to show me a good place for banh mi. We ride on her scooter because I am still too scared to drive one. Holding onto the back of her scooter, moving through the traffic, I feel a rush of adrenaline. We sit on small stools on the sidewalk. She wipes down my chopsticks with a napkin before handing them to me. It is a small gesture, a caring gesture. Why did you come to Vietnam? She asks seriously. I think about lying. I think about giving the digital nomad spiel, but I decide to be honest. I felt invisible in America, I say. Dating there, it felt like a war. Everyone wants the best deal. Nobody wants a partner. She nods slowly, chewing a piece of cucumber. We have that here too, she says. Modern life changes things. But, she adds, looking me in the eye, family is still the root. If the root is strong, the tree survives storms. In America, we are all individual trees in pots, I say. She laughs at the analogy. You are funny, Ethan. That weekend, she invites me to a barbecue with her friends. I am nervous. I expect to be the awkward foreigner, but her friends are welcoming. They are curious. They fill my plate with food. They teach me how to say cheers in Vietnamese. Mo hai ba yo, we shout. I look at Lynn across the fire. She is laughing, helping her friend clean up a spill. She is not posturing. She is not trying to be the main character. She is part of a community. I realize I am falling for her. Not because she is submissive. That is the lie the internet tells about these women. She is not submissive at all. She is fierce when she negotiates prices at the market. She is stubborn when we debate which movie to watch, but she is kind. She operates from a place of cooperation, not competition. Weeks turn into months. My work in Chicago is going well because I am less stressed. My skin clears up. I lose 10 pounds from eating fresh food and walking everywhere. I wake up happy. One night I get a text from Vanessa. I had not deleted her number. Hey stranger, saw on LinkedIn you went remote, still in the city. I stare at the phone. Months of silence, and now she reaches out because she is bored or her options dried up. I type no, I moved to Vietnam. She replies instantly. Vietnam, wow, midlife crisis early, lol. Something like that, I reply. Well, let me know when you are back, we never got that drink. I look at the phone. I look at Lynn, who is sitting on my balcony floor cutting mangoes for us. She looks up and smiles, a slice of yellow fruit in her hand. Who is that? She asks casually. Nobody, I say, just an old reminder. I block Vanessa. It is not out of anger, it is out of indifference. The conflict comes in the 6th month. My company undergoes a merger. My boss calls me on Zoom. He looks tired. Ethan, the new management wants everyone back in the office, no exceptions. They are cutting the remote contracts. You have to be in Chicago by the 1st of the month or we have to let you go. My stomach drops. I have built a life here. I have Lynn, but I also have a career I spent 7 years building. $80,000 is hard to walk away from. Finding a local job here would pay a fraction of that. I tell Lynn that night. We are walking along the beach. The moon is full, reflecting on the black water. I explain the situation. She stops walking. She looks down at the sand. So you will go, she says softly. It is not a question. I do not know, I say. It is a lot of money, Lynn. It is my future. I am not part of your future, she asks. There is no manipulation in her voice, just sorrow. You are, I say, grabbing her hand, but how do we survive? I cannot support us on a local English teacher salary. We would figure it out, she says. My family would help, we live simply. I am not used to living simply, I snap, frustrated by the pressure. She pulls her hand away. Then go, she says, go back to your big apartment and your expensive wine. But ask yourself, Ethan, were you happy? She turns and walks away. I do not chase her. I go back to my apartment and pace. I call Mark in Chicago. It is morning there. Dude, come back, Mark says. You had your little vacation. You banged some foreign chicks. Now get back to the real world. The job market is tough right now. Do not throw away a good salary. Plus, there are new girls on Hinge. I saw a few promising ones. Hearing Mark talk makes my skin crawl. Vacation. Banged. He reduces my entire profound experience to a stereotype. I look around my apartment in Da Nang. It is simple. I have a bed, a desk, a few clothes. But I have friends here who invite me to their homes. I have a woman who cuts fruit for me just because she wants me to be healthy. I have peace. I realize something. In America, I was winning the game of capitalism, but I was losing the game of life. Here, I might lose the salary, but I win the morning. I win the connection. I open my laptop. I write a resignation letter. Dear boss, I am resigning effectively immediately. Thank you for the opportunity. I hit send. My hands are shaking. I have no job. I have savings for maybe a year if I am careful. I feel lighter than air. I run out of the apartment. I grab a grab bike taxi to Lynn's house. It is late, almost midnight. I stand outside her gate. I call her phone. She answers after 3 rings. I quit, I say breathlessly, silence on the line. What? She whispers. I quit the job. I am not going back to Chicago. The gate clicks and opens. She runs out in her pajamas. She looks at me like I am crazy. You are crazy, she says. Yeah, I say, crazy about this place. Crazy about you, she hugs me. She cries into my chest. We will figure it out, she says, and we do. 2 years pass, be me 31 years old, still in Da Nang. I started a small consulting business helping Western companies navigate Vietnamese supply chains. I make about $40,000 a year now, half of what I made in Chicago, but here I live like a king. We have a nice house near the river. I drive a scooter like a local now. Lynn and I are married. Our wedding was a massive party with 300 of her relatives. I have never felt so welcomed in my life. I wake up next to her every morning. She makes me coffee. I make her breakfast. There is no scoreboard. There is no "what have you done for me lately?" There is only "how can we build this life together?" I see posts from my friends back home. Mark is still single, still complaining, still bitter. Vanessa is still posting photos of her brunch, captioning them "living my best life," but her eyes look empty. I realized why American women lose to passport bros. It is not a competition of beauty. American women are beautiful. It is not a competition of intelligence. American women are smart. It is a competition of peace. The modern Western dating market is a battlefield of egos. It is transactional. It is exhausting. Men like me, we did not want a servant. We wanted a sanctuary. We wanted to come home to softness, not another negotiation. Lynn does not see me as an ATM or a status symbol. She sees me as a man. She respects my masculinity, and in turn, I cherish her femininity. It is a balance that the West has forgotten. Yesterday, Lynn told me she is pregnant. I cried. I thought about raising a child here. A child who will value family over followers. A child who will know that happiness is not in the hustle, but in the human connection. I sit on my balcony as the sun sets over the mountains. The air is warm. The city is noisy and chaotic and alive. I take a sip of my beer. I have lost my high-paying job. I have lost my status in the corporate world. I have lost my place in the American rat race. But looking at Lynn through the glass door, humming as she waters her plants, I know the truth. I have won. I have won everything that actually matters. And I would lose to the passport bros every time if it meant finding this. Life is good. Life is real, end of story.